Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome for this exceptional, another wonderful podcast for positive people with positive minds. My name is Jasonacooper, and I've been in sales and marketing for about 25 years in Ireland and the UK. And what I found is some of the most successful people think slightly different. They have a sort of a positive, optimistic outlook on life. They succeed where others fail. And when the going gets tough, they really excel and push through. So they get through adversity and they sort of shrug it off and they move on to the next potential person. And that really sort of intrigued me. So for me, I build people and teams to sort of become more effective in what they do in sales, training and coaching in delivery of that. So I'm really sort of people focused. I love people. And these podcasts really empower me, and I learn so much. And for the audience actually listening today, they're going to be learning so much today. So my guest today, without further ado, is Rebecca Jones. So welcome.
Oh, hello, Jason. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
To see you.
I love that Manchester tone that you have in there. I love that Manchester twang. Reminds me of the Happy Mondays and Oasis and all those sort of people. So love it. Absolutely love it.
I've never been called the Happy Mondays before, but I'll take that.
So a little bit of blurb about you. So I got from your website. You're a clinical hypnotherapist. You're an executive coach. You've worked with the likes of Paul McKenna and Dr. Richard Bandler, who's also incredibly good and studied in the areas of neurolinguistic programming, as I have as well. So we have a similarity there, and I've been doing executive coaching as well. So you're part of an eclectic team of people that are in London, Manchester, and I saw on your website you're somewhere else. Is that right?
Yeah, well, overseas, I've been seeing clients in New York, but I see a lot of people overseas, but lots of it is online, as well as me going to some nice exotic places.
Awesome. And I see on your website you also you have it's paris-street-cloud.com, which is a retreat. So you do inspirational retreats, relaxation, meditation, hypnotherapy, coaching. How can you fit all of that in?
Well, it is a lot, but I will just say it's paris-street-cloud.com. And yes, in the past I've done some retreats, and obviously with the situation at the moment, the retreats are on hold, but they'll be happening again in 2021. But yeah, I ran beachside retreats, hypnotherapy retreats, basically, where people would come. These were based in France, Dinard, near Saint-Malo in France, if you know there. And basically it was gorgeous. Yeah. So I had a seaside cottage there, fisherman's cottage. Nice. And 2 minutes walk to the beach. You'd step out of the front door and pretty much straight on the beach, and people would come for whatever it was that they wanted to work on in their life, and a retreat and have a bit of a holiday. But I mean, it was fascinating because the people who I got to meet, I mean, I had people coming from China, Japan, the Netherlands, from all over the world to come and stay in the cottage and have their hypnotherapy, and some of them got more than they bargained for, which is very often the case with hypnosis and hypnotherapy, as you probably know.
Yeah,
some people might come to simply stop smoking and then leave with a full life transformation. So the beauty of it was that people would stay in touch, and they'd contact me a year or 2 years afterwards and say, look, I've done this now, and I've done this, and so it's powerful stuff.
That is absolutely awesome. And I spoke with another guy called Jack Black, who's basically he's a Scottish guy. He's not the American dude, but he's sort of in between Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra. So he does sort of personal development for the mind, meditation wise. But he said he went to he took a whole group of people to Kenya, and they did some wonderful meditations, like deep inside. And they did some wonderful things internally, but they all came away enriched and their lives completely change. So it's a similar sort of thing, really. And you're taking people away out of their home into another country where they get they're probably more they're more stepping into it, really. So they're more sort of open to suggestions, and they're more open to actually doing some really wonderful work. And that's exactly what I can hear from what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. I think once people are out from their normal surroundings and environment, already they're a little bit out of their comfort zone, whether they're aware of it or not. And I think 9 times out of 10, people that come to see me, and most people, don't actually know what it is that they want. And they might think that they want to give up smoking or get a new job or whatever. And that could be part of it. But usually it's something a little bit deeper. Further down, that is what they want to change in their life, and maybe just giving up smoking is the first step, but usually there's a lot more that comes about as well, which is great when you see people's lives transform. Yeah, brilliant.
That must be a wonderful feeling, that of when you do have that and you do notice a difference, and you can see it in the eyes, because the eyes sort of sparkle and they change, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm sitting opposite a client, I know when the change has happened, because you can see it. The face changes, the skin changes, the color, the eyes, and you just know the moment when it happens. And it's a great feeling for them, but it's a great feeling for me. Yeah, I think I'm very blessed and very lucky in what I do. Yeah.
Tell me this. I just want to backtrack a little bit. Tell me about a little bit before you got into what you're into now. What was your sort of story leading up towards this, and what was that change that made you get into this? What was that sort of anchor point that went, bang, this is what I like, I'm into this now? So give me a little bit of history so we can all understand that.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of anchor points, as you say, but I started off my working life as a teacher. So I was a secondary school teacher, and did that, loved that, got the National Teacher of the Year award, and moved on. And then I went abroad and worked for the United Nations and the British Council, and worked doing that. But it was actually back in early 2000, I think 2004, when Paul McKenna brought his first book out. I don't know whether you remember it, but it was Change Your Life in 7 Days.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And my mum actually was ill in hospital, and someone had bought her this book as a gift. So one day I went to visit her in hospital, and this was lying at the side of her hospital bed. And I said, "Oh, what's that book? Like, who's bought you that?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not interested in it. You can have it if you want." So I took it away and read it. And from that moment on, it was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. It's I was hooked. And then other things happened into my life as well, which I just kind of thought, yeah, this is something that I can use for myself and use for me. And it's transformational. So yeah, I definitely recommend it to anyone. And it's a good book to start if anyone's wanting to find out a little bit more about what it is and what activities they can do. It's a good starting point.
So you did that, and you learnt to change your life in 7. Did it take 7 days, or was it a little bit longer?
I think it was quicker.
Oh, really?
That's how powerful it is. Yeah, I think it was definitely quicker.
So you read that, and you read that book. So what happened next? Well, tell me a little bit more about that.
So also amongst all of that, I had a very bad ski accident, and and from that I ended up breaking my hip. But it wasn't picked up for well over a year that I'd broken my hip. And this is the power of positive thinking. And I was still running and mowing the lawn and doing all those kind of things. And anyway, it turned out that I'd broken my hip. So 4 operations later, and 3-4 years later, and the consultant finally said, "Look, Rebecca, we've done all that we can do now. There's nothing else we can do. These operations aren't working.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to walk again unaided. This is it. This is as good as it gets." So I was on crutches, in a wheelchair. And then I just thought, actually, there's so much more that I want to do in my life. I'm not having this. So I researched lots, I read stuff, tried lots of different therapies, and really then got more involved and more dedicated to the hypnosis and the hypnotherapy and all the various psychological approaches and the therapeutic approaches. And that's basically what turned it around for me. And then the next time I went for the X-ray, my surgeon at the time was completely baffled. He was like, wow, this is working now. The X-rays show that it's healing. So pretty much after 4 years of the operation's not working, it shows that actually when you take things on yourself and have that positive approach, you can pretty much transform anything in your life by taking a different perspective. So
it's funny you should say that, actually. My mum is like that. Like, she was a yoga teacher when she was younger, but she's one of these people that she just had a knee replacement a couple of years ago, and she said, no, I'm not taking painkillers. I'm not taking painkillers. And she won't take painkillers. She refuses it unless she's really, really aching and hurting. And then everything seems to be fine. And then a few weeks ago, she did something to her back, and I said, go and see the doctor. No, I'm not. I thought, oh God, here we go again. So I was forcing her to do it. I will get over this. This will not faze me. I will get over it. And you know, when you talk to yourself like that, it's almost like something's happening in the brain to tell the rest of the body that I will get over it. And it's similar to what probably happened to you.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. I love stuff like that. It's really intriguing.
It's incredible, and it just shows the power of the unconscious mind, because you know, we have our conscious mind that we think about all day long and tells us what to do, but actually our bodies know how to heal, and our bodies know how to transform our lives. We don't actually have to think about how to breathe or how to beat our heart. We do those naturally every moment of the day, unconsciously, without thinking. And that's the power of our unconscious mind. So it is, if we can manage to do those things ourselves without putting ourselves out there and thinking about it with the conscious mind. So sometimes it's good to put the conscious mind to one side, and
it's only when you start to think about it, it comes conscious.
Completely. And that's when we get stuck and we put obstacles in our way and we find it difficult to move forward.
That's also quite a challenge. I don't know if you know much about Dr. Joe Dispenza and his theories behind. He's got about 3 or 4 really highly technical books about the brain and the cerebellum and all the different areas of the brain. But I haven't been on his course, but from what I've read in his books and his audiobooks and stuff like that, it's all about the same sort of thing, meditating, and they do group meditations on healing and healing other people as well as healing yourself. So if you have a challenge or something in the body, you can go inside and heal it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Maybe it goes back to the old spiritual days of when the witch doctor would come and suggest something to you that you're fixed, and that's almost like suggesting it will be fixed, and the other person going, yes, I believe.
Of course. And of course the placebo effect is, you know, a proven thing, and lots of research into that. So they're very similar things in terms of the power of the unconscious mind and hypnosis and getting into that deeply relaxed state where you are just open to new positive things in your life. Definitely.
I'm really quite impressed with what you've done, and like you seem like you've been traveling all over the place and doing how long you been working in this space now?
It's about 10 years now, I would say, just shy of 10 years. And as I say, I feel so lucky and blessed to be doing it, and the people that I've met in doing it. I mean, I've had some incredible clients obviously from the UK, but clients from overseas, clients from different governments, clients from the American government, the Trump administration, our government. Really? People in this country, TV, radio, and so it's enabled me to, you know, broaden my perspective on things as well by meeting people from all walks of life. And it's really shown me that whoever you are, you know, whether you're the managing director in a big company, or, you know, someone in Silicon Valley or Google or something like that, whoever you are, everybody's got something in their life that they would like to change and improve. And the face that you put forward to the general public is not always the real face and what is going on deep down. And, you know, we all pass people on the street and think like, oh, they're in lovely clothes and they must have a great life and this, that, and the other. But whoever you are and whatever you're doing, I would say everyone's got something in their life that they could just work on a little bit or improve or change, get rid of something or add something else. And it's a fascinating world, because we all get to learn and enrich our lives from other people. And, you know, I've learned lots from Paul McKenna and Richard Bandler, and it's lots of adventures and lots more to come, let's hope.
Well, we're just going to pause for a few moments to gather our thoughts. And very excited with Rebecca Jones. She's put me in a trance already. So, it's very powerful.
I didn't think you'd notice.
I don't know what's happened. I'm completely I'm all over the place. No, it's we were talking
Usually
about.
Happens.
It always happens. So you were suggesting about meeting some wonderful people from around the globe, and obviously Paul McKenna. Do you work with Paul, or are you?
Yeah, I'm part of his. Well, first of all, I trained with him and Dr. Richard Bandler, and now I'm part of the trainer team. So go down to London and help them assist and run seminars and events and things like that. So yeah, but sadly it's all online at the moment. So but we're fingers crossed. We've got some things in 2021, so looking forward to that.
I know he's doing quite a few online, aren't they? Richard Bandler and Paul McKenna.
Yes.
So I keep seeing them and go, I must attend that, and then I don't, and I must attend that.
Yeah, you should do.
I know.
It's all good stuff.
It's on my radar to attend one of their courses. I'd love to do the trainer course. It's on my radar.
Right, brilliant.
But not at the moment, obviously, because of lockdown. But it's definitely on the radar.
I know. We're all finding new ways of working.
Oh, absolutely. So, talking about new ways of working, is how are you working and dealing with people at the moment? Because all of this last 6 months has been a bit all over the place, a bit crazy, a bit challenging. It's I'm using all these vague terminology, but it's a bit of a mad one. For myself, I've been all right, but other people out there, they're finding it very challenging. And if you're speaking with businesses out there, and you're speaking to, as you suggested earlier, you've been speaking to sort of executives, whoever they are and wherever they're from, what are they saying to you, and how I'm trying to get my words out there, how are you sort of helping them forward?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, luckily, me and my business, I'm used to working with people online, because lots of clients are overseas and can't always get to London or Manchester. So in a sense, it's that aspect of it has just increased with people working online and me seeing clients online. But what I would say is that in terms of COVID and the way that it's affecting people and people working now, people are definitely experiencing a lot more grief and loss. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they know someone who's died from having coronavirus, although they may have. But people are definitely mourning their normal day-to-day lives. And whether that's just a case of going into the office or playing sport in a club, or, you know, going out for a meal or to the pub with their friends, people are definitely finding that aspect of it really impacting on their mental health. And I would say really that some of my specialisms are addiction and trauma and anxiety, and those are definitely increasing. People drinking more, drugs, at home, kind of, you know, stressed with what's happening and not sure what to do. And even in the ICU wards, because I've done some work with the NHS and ICU staff, nurses, doctors, and that has become a, you know, that's their day-to-day. normal life, and it's traumatic.
Yeah,
And
I can
there
imagine.
will be lots of people suffering from PTSD just through going to work. Not that anything has happened out of their
Yeah.
ordinary day to day. It's simply through going to work and having to face what's facing them when they head onto the wards every
Yeah.
day. So it's there's lots of changes there.
So based on that, because I always think that feeding forward and helping other people, and if people are listening to this, my message that I would like to give is any sort of golden nuggets of insights, things that you could possibly do differently than what you are doing now. I remember listening to Paul McKenna's podcast recently, and they said, I think it was just him talking. He said, well, if you're working at home, don't work in the bedroom because the bedroom is for sleeping.
Yes.
Sort of having sort of triggers around the house so you don't anchor that the bedroom with working. And unfortunately, I was working in the bedroom. Now I've kicked my son out of this room and he's in another room, and he's in another room. Anyway, he's all right. He's got his Xbox. He's good. So, but the point of the conversation is when people are working at home, we're used to it, but others are not, and it's causing that social distancing stress with not being in the office, not physically seeing people apart from your family and everyone else. That causes challenges as well. And what would you suggest, and what sort of insights from your point of view that you can give sort of some wisdom there?
Yeah, I would definitely say we're social beings. And even if, like all of us, we all like a bit of downtime and a bit of quiet time and time on our own. And I think initially lots of people were quite excited about lockdown. And I remember, speaking to a client and someone else saying, oh, I'm so excited. I've got a list of things that I'm going to do. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to paint the house. But as time wore on, what I did notice that people were struggling with it more. And I think we are social beings as much as we like our downtime and time on our own. And I think it's been really important for people to make the effort to keep in contact with people, even if they were isolating and even if they were on their own and couldn't go out for whatever reason. Keeping in touch with colleagues. I mean, I know Zoom has become really popular. It's become a whole new world, hasn't it, with Zoom meetings and the like. But yeah, just even if it's just a quick pick up the phone and say hello, even if it's in your lunch break, even if it's not a formal meeting, because, it used to be that people would go to the office and go to the coffee machine and have a bit of a chat by the coffee machine, like, oh, what have you done today? What did you do at the weekend? And even those corporations and companies are still having Zoom meetings for the formal meetings. I think staff are finding that they're missing out on those little day-to-day chit-chat. And I know lots of people say, I don't really enjoy chit-chat, but actually just that social interaction can help people's well-being and realise that there is someone there for them. There is someone who cares. And also what I would say, and I think it's really important, and I do keep saying it, is that if you do think that someone is struggling or someone is not quite themselves, give them a call, get in touch with them. But also if you're that person who thinks, oh, maybe I'm not feeling quite right, do ask for help. I think it's really important to realise that, we've all got mental health. It's on a continuum. Some days it would be better than others, and some days it may dip down a little bit, and that's just normal and it's okay. It's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about, and just ask for help, even if not to a professional, just to a colleague or a neighbour, and just say, can I just have a quick chat? And, just speaking to someone, whoever that might be, whether it's your next door neighbour, can make a massive difference. And, I don't want to get too deep into this
it's interesting
conversation.
But it's I think it's worthwhile speaking about, because it's some people think they know it all, but it's good to reinforce it in a really good positive way, that like we're all suffering from it in one way or another. No matter if you're a leader of as you say before, Google or whatever, and you've got these strong shoulders and you think that you're big and powerful and you should know everything, but really the authentic self should really come through and sort of
Yes.
resonate with people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, last summer I was with someone from Google and speaking to them about various things and the work that they were doing and so on. And they said to me that some of their most effective, profound and productive conversations with their staff and employees was in the elevator. They'd just step into the elevator and they'd be going to the next floor or whatever. And that was when they really made the difference and got to know someone. Yeah. And they said after the elevator, it's the canteen. And those are where we have some of our big conversations that affect our staff, lead our team. And it's those kind of conversations that we're now missing in the workplace because they're just not happening because we're not there.
So how do you think you could reward people with something now in place of that? So in place of that, so is there something that you can do in place of that that you can do virtually, or when we do get back to some sort of reasonable normality? I'm not sure when that's going to happen over here or in Ireland or in the UK, but any sort of ideas around that, how you can give back a little bit, so the listeners can actually sort of take this on board and go, look, Rebecca, you're an expert in this area and you've got a wonderful brain. So we don't have all the ideas, but I'm sure you've got some really wonderful ones.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of if you're a manager or a CEO or something like that, I would say that sometimes the unscheduled stuff is the most important stuff. So if you're leading a workforce that you think, obviously is going to be affected by this, is just do the unscheduled stuff. Pick up the phone, have those calls that aren't the official Zoom chats and things like that, because those are the calls that you're going to see the actual people. And as we know, our staff, our people, they're our biggest resource, and those are the people that we have to look after at the moment. And it's the same whether it's private sector or public sector. I've had the same conversations with, some NHS staff. And really important to just touch base with people at the moment and make sure that the people that you're in touch with are doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's hugely powerful. Because I'm living in Dublin, my parents are in England, so I haven't had the chance to go and see them as much as I do want to see them. If I do, when I come back, I've got to isolate for 10 days, but I might just do that anyway, just so I can see them and feel them and give them a hug and whatever else. Because I think that's important, and we all miss that sort of. I made a mistake the other week, and did a workshop on, I can't remember what it was, sales training or something like that. But I met the owner of the business, and automatically I just put my arm out like that to shake hands, and he went like that, and I went, oh no, what am I?
Yeah, I know. We miss that human contact, don't we? Because as I've said, we're tactile social beings. Yeah. So it is, and just letting someone know that, that you're missing that, and if this wasn't the case, you would be doing this, because I think that still sends the same vibe to someone, and that it's still that connection and rapport that they're really important.
I think so. I think that's absolutely, because we're human creatures. We are sociable creatures. Funnily enough, I went into my local shopping centre recently, and I walked around there, and everyone was masked up. I don't know why. Me being quite strange, it did seem like the zombie apocalypse, and I had a big smile underneath it, because I still can't, 6 months gone, and I still can't get my head around it.
But and the thing is, I think you can still gain and gauge people's expressions, can't you? Which I love, when you look at someone's face and you can see their eyes, and it might take a moment just to work it out, but you can still gauge it, which I think is lovely.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely wonderful. We're just going to stop for a couple of minutes or 10 seconds, and then we come back into the conversation again.
Oh,
so welcome back. You have Jasonacooper here and my very special guest, Rebecca Jones, and we're talking about real stuff, really, which is also awesome, and day-to-day stuff, and we want to give back, and I think that's the best thing. The way I look at it is we give back, we share our knowledge, we share advice, because we know it's whatever happens, it comes back to us in a different form or different shape or whatever. And I think that's absolutely wonderful when we do that. So tell me about how you deal with adversity and how you can sort of get over challenges that might affect you, because if it affects you, it's going to affect someone else. But obviously you've worked really deeply on yourself, and I'm sure you've got some core things that you do which elevate you out of it. Could you give us some ideas of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going back to what I mentioned earlier about the ski accident that I had, and I was a runner at the time,
Oh, really?
and it was, and I was always kind of the mentality, no pain, no gain. So I was, striving forward and keeping running. And then, as I said, realized that I'd had quite a serious injury and then couldn't walk for 4 years. And I think it definitely is the having the mental strength and the positivity to just make a decision and choose what it is that you want. Because when I was told that I wouldn't walk again, I kind of thought, well, actually, I want to walk again because I want to go abroad and live abroad and work abroad. And, I'm not going to not do that. So I think when you've got a goal and something in place that you really want to do, that's definitely something that you can focus on. And I think it's about having a focus. Once you've got a focus and a goal to work towards, then you can take small steps daily to working towards that. And the key thing I would say is that when you've got a goal, as well as you working towards your goal is working on you, if that makes sense, because it's actually changing your brain chemistry. And it's through those happy chemicals that it's actually working and transforming you. So you may be working towards a new job or a career or moving abroad or whatever it is, but just the sheer fact that you're thinking about that is creating the happy chemicals in your brain and helping you shift. And that is not just like a mental thing, it's a physical thing. And that is why physically you can change as well. Like people say, like, well, you look younger, or you're healing better, or you had a scar and that's now cleared up. And it is, so it's on both levels. So I would say to anyone who's maybe feeling a little bit stuck or not sure what to do, is to have a goal and a focus. It doesn't have to be a big goal like mine was, of I want to live and work abroad and end up going abroad, get a job with the United Nations or the British Council. It can be something just small, like, I don't know, but I want to decorate my room in a month, something like that. But as long as you've got something to focus on, and I think naturally as human beings, we find it very easy to know what we don't want and to focus on what we don't want and the negative parts. And if we can just shift that into a positive, to focus on, all right, okay, I know what I don't want. What do I want? And that was the point I was making earlier about sometimes people come to see me. Well, very often people come to see me, and 9 times out of 10, they don't actually know what it is that they want. They know what they don't want. And the minute you change the focus, that's when the magic begins and the magic happens.
It's also a state where the internal dialogue that you have, and because we are these fight or flight creatures, and this world that we live in is it's strange to the reptilian side of the brain. So we're always doubting everything, and because of all this technology around us, which is good, but it's also quite bad, and all of this corporate stuff and cars and all of that, our brain cannot compute or deal with a lot of the emotions that are going inside of us and we get stressed on lots of different things. That fight or flight moment comes up and our adrenaline rushes through and we get angry or anxious and all of that. But it's really the self-talk and the self-sabotage, getting over that and speaking to yourself in a slightly different way. How would you suggest to people that are listening right now to talk to themselves in a slightly different manner?
Well, what I would do initially is, because sometimes people really struggle with that, because the minute they're het up, it's actually very difficult to just ease that unless you're, a regular meditator and you do lots of meditation. Just maybe some general person might find that quite difficult. So what I would suggest to anyone who's struggling with that is just to think of a picture, because in our brains it's much simpler to just think of a picture of the thing that we do want. And so if you're feeling quite stressed and anxious and, you know, struggling with things, if you can just think of a time in your past or your recent past where maybe you were relaxed and feeling at ease and calm, maybe a holiday where you were chilling on the beach or a nice party with friends, something like that. If you can think of a time when you were actually doing that, you don't even have to find the picture. The picture will automatically come into your head. And the minute that you've got the picture there and you look at that and you notice things about it, maybe the colors or things that you were wearing or the scenery, what it was you were doing, the minute you do that, you start to gradually unwind and calm down and relax anyway. So it's quite an effective technique to just think of a time and think of a picture when you were doing the things that you do want rather than what's happening to you right now.
God, you've done really well there. I really, I'm back there now. I'm on the beach. That's really wonderful. I know for me, I take myself out and go for a walk. And I'm lucky enough where I live, I'm South County Dublin, which I've got green spaces near me. So I go for walks up in green spaces and go in reservoir. There's, funny enough, I say reservoir, actually, it popped into my head. On Sunday, we went down to a place called Roundwood, which is in County Wicklow. You won't know it, but there's a big reservoir there. And it's around it, there's a path that goes around it. And it's a beautiful place. Lots of greenery around it, lots of butterflies this summer year, lots of wildlife. And there was a walk around, it's a 6K walk, or you can do a 12K walk. The kids weren't up for any more than a 6K. So it's power walking around there. But, you know, after the 6K and getting in with nature and green space just does it for me. And anything that you were thinking of is gone. So that's just a wonderful thing to do and really sort of playing that. Plus you're walking and you're exercising, which really helps.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Jason, because I think, you know, getting out in nature, being surrounded, it's a different energy, it's a slower pace of life, and the exercise and combining the two, it's a brilliant combination.
So that's always awesome. What do you do to do you I take you down?
Well, actually, I love walking as well. I can't ski anymore.
Okay, well, that might be a challenge.
So but I do love walking. And I'm talking of the reservoir, I'm actually going to a reservoir on Sunday, actually going for a nice walk planned. I don't know whether you know the Peak District in England. So so I'll be going around Lady Bower Reservoir around there in the Peak District, and it's stunning, it's gorgeous. The minute you're there, you know, everything just drifts away, and it's very pretty, very scenic
there, isn't it? If I remember rightly, it's barren up there. It's completely sort of there's nothing around there, which is good, and there's no houses.
It's like a wilderness. It's a real haven, peace and quiet. And I remember I went to university in Sheffield, and my dad used to run me from the Manchester side all the way over the Peak District to Sheffield, and we'd love the journey. And it's really great. Beautiful place to walk if you ever get there.
I will get over there at sort of some point. Oh, you've disappeared. I'm sure you'll come back. And I'll just carry on talking for the moment. Rebecca's actually offline, and we were interviewing Rebecca about the Peak District. But, you know, today's really about giving some people some different types of focus and helping them to achieve something in their lives that they're, you know, just give them a little bit more purpose. Now we have Rebecca back. She sort of disappeared for a second, but the internet sometimes goes and it comes away. And this is one of the.
I thought you might have cut me off, Jason.
Oh, I would never do that. You're back in here. I'd never do that. I'd never do that. Actually happened to me the other day. I was halfway through a conversation.
Beauty of live TV.
It is. It is. Luckily, we're not live, but we could actually go live. Tell me about something I've been thinking of is over the last few months, we've been installed these habits within us, and these habits are the mask wearing situations. But it's the governments around the world have suggested that we will need to do this, because if we don't, this might happen. Like it's giving you the negative, so hopefully you'll be positive, sort of anchoring negative, positive anchor. You know the drill. But for me, it's still a bit of a challenging one. How can you help people install a good positive habit out of this? Meaning, because we have to do it. Don't always necessarily want to do it, but we've been told and we've been conditioned to do this by the world and whatever else that's happened. Can you give us some sort of a metaphor or an analogy that we could sort of help us deal with this in a better way, or a metaphor that might give us how we can install, based on the habits that we have now, and install another habit on top? I'm going somewhere with it. I'm sure you can understand.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great technique to do that. But what I will say, I mean, obviously, I won't go fully into the technique.
No.
Talk a little bit about it. But just before that, obviously, I think it's important to recognise that not everyone can wear masks, and some people, are omitted from wearing them for health reasons, and so on. But obviously, there has been a surge of people suffering from phobias related to the mask, because obviously 6 months ago, it wasn't a thing in our lives, and people didn't have to wear masks. And now generally the rule is that you have to wear a mask. And linked to claustrophobia and other various things, or people's own experiences currently or from their childhood, there are lots of people who are suffering from mask phobias.
Wow. Okay.
But so that's obviously something that I've worked on, and it's a whole new category now.
Wow.
But in terms of the experiences that you say, and turning it into a positive one, there is a great, we call it like a submodality technique, where if it's something that you're not really enjoying and you don't like, and you see it as a negative, you can go again back into your past, or something that's even fairly recent in your past experiences of something that was a positive experience. And from that, take the visual, the things that you see, the auditory, the things that you hear, and feelings associated with a positive experience. And then, in a sense, I'll use the word transplant, but it's not really like surgery. Transplant those positives into the experience around your current situation that you're not really enjoying. And then automatically your unconscious mind will associate your current experience that you're not really enjoying with some of those wonderful positive things in the past, and bring them into your present. So that's a great technique that we can use to help people. Sorry, say that again.
I like presents.
Everyone loves them.
That's a good way of doing it. I like that. That's really, really cool. And I'm sure people would appreciate that. And like when they listen back to this, and they're going to go, I get that. That's really, useful. And that's a really good, useful thing to have. Could you tell everyone how they can find out more about you? And because you've been wonderful through this last 45 minutes or so, and give us an areas where people can actually find details about yourself.
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Paris St. Cloud, and you can find me on my website, www.parisstcloud.com, Paris St. Cloud with hyphens in the middle. Yeah, all the social media, YouTube, find me on there. And yeah, or you can email me, info@parisstcloud.com or Rebecca at harleystreettherapyclinic.com.
Harley Street Therapy Clinic. That's a massive accolade for you. Well done.
So you can either see me in Harley Street in London, or you can see me in Manchester on Deansgate, or if you're overseas, you can work online. So yeah, lots of opportunities to get in touch and work and help.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And really thank you for your time today. You've been listening to Rebecca Jones, and your host is Jason Cooper for Serenity Radio. You can find me online all over LinkedIn. I'm absolutely everywhere. Twitter, Jason A. Cooper, and on Instagram, or J Cooper at Jason Cooper if you want to get in touch with me. Anything to do with sales, training, or coaching, I'm there for you. So again, thank you once again.
Thank you, Jason. I've really enjoyed it. So thanks for having me, and look forward to speak to you again soon.